Tuesday's number 25. My name is Maliv, pronouns they, she, and I will be one of your commentators for the first block of this event. Joining alongside me, we've got DHVA. Hello, friend.
Hi, it's great being here. I'm DHVF. I'll be here for this first block, and we are getting started with our Swiss part of Tristrike Tuesdays number 25 here. Look for our first set. Looks like we got match between Xiphias and Serpentine, starting on humpback spot zones. What tips do you have for this opening round here for humpback zones? For anything else here? What's going through your mind here?
Diving straight into the talk. I like that. Typically, from what I understand, what I remember about this stage, especially since we're not talking about tower control, we're not talking about Rainmaker or any of the other modes, we're just talking about clean and clear splat zones. It's a pretty straightforward game. You've got your area section off pretty well. There is a little bit of sharking you can do here, but it's not always the easiest. I know there's a little bit more of an aggressive high ground that some players will want to push, but especially if we're seeing the pencils, they're probably not going to need to make that kind of play, and they're going to be able to be nice and cozy at the far back line, and it's going to be really hard to push against them. So it's probably going to be a lot of safe, patient play between both sides, depending on what we see, of course, with their loadouts, until somebody gets their specials loaded up well enough and are able to make a stronger push than the opposing team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I also want to note that this is definitely a map where weapon comps matter more than your average map. And as you see here, we are already getting away. And you can see part of that weapon comp. You have a Dynamo, one of the best Dynamo maps in the game here for Xiphias, along with a Tristringer, a Decav, and a Dreadringer. And Xiphias already able to force a 2 down. They're going to be able to hold zone immediately. Although you see the roller on that right side of the map get a trade on the Tristringer to maybe stall some time here. As Xiphias looking to get settled in, forcing another 2 down Serpentine. Zeko the pencil has to back up a little bit farther back on flat, putting some pain on, but needs some more teammates to pop. Xiphias is going to be able to pop their bubble up front and maybe do some shielding against Serpentine's crab. But ooh, the pencil gets taken out by a bomb off the crab. Just a brutal way to go for that. And that's going to stall Serpentine even more as Xiphias continues their hold here.
It's easy to forget about just how barrier things like that, the big bubbler, so on and so forth, any splash wall, if a bomb hits to them, normally there's that charge time, that loading amount of period where it needs to build up to cause the explosion. But if it hits something like that, I didn't realize the crab was included in this, but if it hits it, it's just an immediate detonation, and anybody within range, you can't even react to that, and you're just taken out. Seeing how things are kind of playing out right now, it looks like Serpentine managing to get an opportunity to push back, has managed to claim some control thanks to that Tacticooler being able to be played out and giving them a lot more speed, a lot more pressure, and a lot more safety and confidence in their push attempt. And now they're trying to keep Xiphias locked down, or at least try to stall him down as long as possible. Whipping out on a chance to maybe pull out that stamp, or maybe not confident enough. And that's going to be a chance for Xiphias to make a counter push, and it's looking pretty good in their favor here. They're struggling to try to bring things back. This Dynamo just continuing to do Dynamo work, and they will reclaim things.
Yeah, really good attempt by Serpentine there to get back in his own, force a team fight, take the fight a little bit to the flanks there, but it feels like they may have gotten a little too carried away as Xiphias is able to get back into mid with not much penalty loss in the zone. And now you can see the Dynamo gets a pick there, threatening Platt, gets another pick. That Dynamo is deadly here. They're poking over the walls on this map for Platt here. They're still hanging out in zone, get taken out by the pencil. That's a huge kill that maybe Serpentine can use to work their way more into mid. As 2 more go down, the stamp is on zone for Serpentine. They're able to get a good retake there. As now Serpentine's in zone, they can get their pencil set up to maybe poke some farther into Xiphias' own Platt. I think you can see the wiper there, and the wiper does get taken down, unfortunately, as Xiphias rushing forward as a team, taking out another on the elbow. Decav goes down, but the reslider for Xiphias is able to cap in time, forces the pen to jump out, and just like that, it's another hole for Xiphias, another retake opportunity for Serpentine.
Well, both teams kind of going back and forth and controlling this poor wiper hiding back in the corner. Dynamo actually making the call to back away, which worked out pretty well for them. We're able to, or Decapitator, were able to just kind of work together and lead to a nice splat, continuing to hold this ground. Big Bubbler being used very effectively just to stop the crab from being able to take over that zone. And the Decapitator just dealing some good damage, take it out, and now it's Serpentine's trying to push it back, reclaim the zone. They still have a lot of work to be able to bring things back, though.
Yeah, I'm really interested as Serpentine handles this hold because they have been able to retake when locked out here against Xiphias, but they haven't really been able to hold. Every time they've held zones, Xiphias has been able to get back either with a reslider, with just kills from the dynamo, from whatever. So we'll see if Serpentine can do it. And here comes the reslider. That's going to be enough to cap there. And just like that, Serpentine is able to trade back actually and hold zone again. They do have a new penalty now, but Xiphias is 2 down. They're going to be able to work through that penalty as Xiphias regroups. You can see Boo Boo going here on the flank, trying to distract tension. They have Stamp ready, poking here, taking 3 on. Gets one of them. Heals back for more. Let's see if they can pop Stamp on this, and the decap gets them before they can get a high impact Stamp play off. And now Xiphias, there's no penalty left. The decap is dropping to left, and they do cap, get the splash while we're at it too. It's a really, really good play by that decap to take the kill from the left and get back zone for Xiphias.
Yeah, I'm seeing the problem with what's going on with Serpentine is they have a good strategy and a good plan, but we're seeing a lot of hyper-aggressive plays from them, and maybe a little too much hoarding of these specials, and it's just leading into situations where they're not winning trades, or they're trying to have their specials as ultimate trump cards. This is a good opportunity. They might be able to hold things just long enough to be able to claim the win here. If they can get the lead, they just need to be able to hold this stage over through overtime. They only need 11 points. Oh, but that's going to close things out very quickly. And Xiphias confidently claiming game 1 with a very well-timed Reef Slider. Yeah, unfortunately for Serpentine there, a lot of that was... You saw a lot of the cases where they got wiped out was because they got the lead, and you saw them all immediately go and hug the wall and just put themselves spread out, not grouped together, not being able to coordinate and work alongside each other. Viper coming on from the far right, completely alone, very easy for anything, especially a Decapitator, which has that little bit extra range to be able to look over and be like, oh, you want to start something? Especially when that Viper had 2 chances, 2 different opportunities where they were over there and ready to do some real damage, and they didn't bring out the Stamper. Both of those situations where if they used the Stamper in either of those cases, it probably would have caused a much higher risk or a lot more damage to Xiphias' side, stalled them out for a lot longer, or just completely disorganized the team and given a lot more opportunities for Serpentine to be able to take this game. But it was a lot of disorganized play. When they got the advantage, they would just kind of spread out too much, which I get it. They're wanting to make sure there's no opportunity for Xiphias to kind of sneak in and reclaim the zone. But that's also why you usually have an anchor, right?
Yeah. But I definitely want to give a shout out there to the Dread Ringer on Xiphias, because there were a lot of times where Serpentine was actually able to win fights in mid, get a good hold on the zone, and maybe push forward a bit. But every time Xiphias was put on the defensive and needing to retake, they stayed patient. They let the Viper kind of do its thing, but they didn't fully go down them. They didn't really see a high impact play from the Viper that got 2 down, 3 down, or whatever. They stayed patient. They charged their reslider, and they got a good reslider on zone every time they needed it. Most notably at the very end to win the game in overtime. So really good job by the Dreadringer to be able to get that reslider on. They're always ready to cap it, get high impact plays from that special, and also good job by the rest of Xiphias for being ready to move forward with it, being ready to paint with it, playing really opportunistically there. And that, I think, was what got them the win. Despite not winning every team fight, I think they responded to adversity really, really well in that game. And we'll see what they can do here. Inkblot Art Academy Tower Control, a classic mode here. What are you expecting from these teams that we've seen a pretty back and forth game? Although I see here that we are just going to get right into it now, as we see a try come out instead of a dynamo for Xiphias' cooler option, but you still see that bow. You see a vanilla blaster with bubble and a machine. So a couple of changes for Xiphias. And Serpentine as well, you see a stamper, a shot, a roller. So a lot of changes on both sides here. It should be very interesting to see what we can do.
We got a sloshing machine here. That wasn't there in the previous game. Blaster, definitely a really solid pick as well. It looks like Xiphias has changed up their kit immeasurably to be responding to this new environment, this new stage, and the new mechanics of tower control. It's a very different game. A lot more is going on. It Winning team matches is going to be a lot more important here, and it's more important to stay coordinated and be working together with your team. So I'm eager to see, like, Serpentine has a lot of strong pressure and play, and they win those matches. But Xiphias is definitely demonstrating that they're a lot better at sticking together and working as a team, and really making a difference with their supers. Those specials are oftentimes what turns a bad situation into a win. And if they are able to hold on to it like they are right now, like they've got a big bubbler that's just waiting to be popped as well, that can just continue to hold this ground. The sloshing machine as well, just doing this pressure. Look how it is making them dance. As nobody's even near Xiphias' tower.
Yeah, you can see here they cleared that ever-elusive second checkpoint with ease. You saw the sloshing machine make some space. They got a booyah ready. They're going to try and use to clear this third checkpoint. And Xiphias is steamrolling their way to a win. Keep an eye on that roller behind the tower. Getting a kill there, clearing the tower, and a really good play to the Serpentine's roller to potentially just save the game. Because once the tower gets past that third checkpoint on this map, it often leads to knockouts. So really good play. Serpentine can try and reset, take that opening push that Xiphias got so far against them and kind of just pushed out of their memory. They have a Zipcaster. They have a big bubble ready to be used. This is the time where Serpentine needs to go up, get value out of these specials. So as you can see, the roller sharking there, maybe not quite ready to go on the plat yet, but you can see here there are some kills getting on that plat. The Xiphias' blaster goes down, but the pen does get taken out on the far side there, and the roller
That was
goes down as well
not a
for
good
getting
bubbler.
value off the bubble, as Xiphias basically cancels out all the value from Serpentine's bubbler, and that push is going to fizzle out. They do get a Zuka kill to maybe stagger Xiphias' advance if they want to push farther, but I mean, they've already gotten that to 20. I don't think Xiphias is going to be super focused on pushing really, really far again unless the opportunity really presents itself. But Serpentine, they need to regroup, they need to get specials again, and with time already past the halfway point, they might need to start thinking about focusing more on offense and less on defense. But let's see what they can do here.
Yeah, this is another situation where it feels like, we are getting some good plays, but they need to be able to stay coordinated. They need to be sticking together, working together. We saw those good snipes, but if it's just to start this push, I guess it's good. It will lead into them being able to get for this first checkpoint, which is really important. Gives them that room to be able to more effectively push in the future, but it's just one of those situations where, again, they've had to back up already. They got through the first checkpoint, which will help them be able to start pushing towards the second checkpoint. But it's just one of those things where every time it looks like they're starting to get some momentum, they just can't hold it. Because while they might be winning a couple, getting the more splats here and there, their special usage is just not as impactful. There's just not as many big answers that are coming in. Trizuka is scary, but look at how many walls there are. I don't think that Trizuka actually got any trades, and now the sloshing machine is just going to get 2 clean picks.
Yeah, really, really good job by the machine there, leading
That's a third
to them and getting 3 there. And now Xiphias, they can assert their control of mid. They're rushing down there. They get the stamper. The pencil is forced to back up. That Tri-Slosher is going to chase them all the way there. They get the jump on the pencil. They get them too. What a great pick by the Tri-Slosher as they do go down there. But now Serpentine firmly on the defensive again. Under a minute to go. Jared's going to see what he can get with the Zuka, but finds one there, and that might be enough to stop Xiphias, but they have a bubble up. Jared gets the bubble and is able to make Xiphias waste that bubble there, as now Serpentine can get a little bit more into mid, but at this point, getting into mid is not going to be enough. They need to find kills once they're there. Xiphias is playing very defensively now. You see all of them back near their plat. I think they are waiting to charge. They already have the Booyah Bomb waiting to potentially get that GG Booyah off here. So I think Serpentine's #1 priority is going to be killing that Booyah Bomb. But for now, they're all going down. The Blaster gets a nice kill there. They have a fully painted mid to work with. As you can see, the Stamper trying to make something happen. They're going to go down. Just 8 seconds left. Serpentine's on the towers. Jared is going to try and make a play for the bats. They forced the Booyah out before overtime. That's a big play, but unfortunately, it will not be enough as Xiphias clamps down for a pretty dominant Game 2 win to take the set.
Again, a lot of the things we saw in Game 1 kind of coming in, just better super usage from Xiphias. Serpentine getting some really good pushes. Like, we cannot understate how effective a lot of the plays were. We saw great plays coming in from that roller being able to take out a lot of players and just like giving these strong windows. But they always were like a player or two short than what they'd like. They never had their supers or their specials like gathered up all to be able to make a proper push. They were always being used to just try to hold the line and prevent Xiphias from taking advantage further. It was all they were just constantly on their back heel. They need to find a way to be able to take control without having to spend all the resources just to go back to neutral. That's a big problem with what's going on in this match, is they're spending all the resources to get back to neutral, and then Xiphias takes a moment just to paint for like 10 seconds and is like, oh, okay, well, we're going to use it to take advantage now again. Thanks. And then Serpentine's back in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think comparing that to what Xiphias did on their opening push, where they got all the way to 20, they were extremely fast and getting those kills, moving all the way up to bats, moving up, pushing people all the way back to the right side of Serpentine's plat, just making sure that the tower rider was able to get through that second check completely stress-free, didn't have to take a single fight to do it. And you just compare how fast Xiphias is able to move forward in front of the tower, clear out the entire plat, clear out bats, just make space for the tower to move forward. And you compare it to Serpentine, where they did see them try to make a lot of offensive attempts towards Xiphias' plat, Xiphias' bats, but it kind of fizzled out. So huge props to Xiphias for having a stronger defense there, not really just being able to push it around, but being ready to meet the tower when it gets there to get kills, to prevent the tower from getting. I don't think they even got 2 second checkpoint there. So
they didn't get to second triple. Oh no,
exactly what they needed to do there on defense. So
yeah, they
really
did get to second.
Major props to them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just like, and then there's also unfortunate situations like Serpentine's roller just not being able to push very well, and by time 1 or 2 players on their side disappeared, that's when they actually kind of got into position and dropped the big bubbler, so it wasn't able to support. And then at that point, there was so little there that the bubbler just didn't do anything to help out and was immediately taken out. It was just very unfortunate situation, but I imagine Serpentine's made a few notes. Is being aware we've already got the Tacticooler out for Xiphias, who is now using it to immediately start pushing. I hope Serpentine has learned from the last 2 games, because they have to demonstrate it here, because Xiphias is just playing the exact same game. Game 3 is just playing the exact same tune, and Serpentine is disorganized again. We've got this Decavitator all on their own, doing some good work, but when you're alone, it doesn't matter how much work you're doing, you're going to get overwhelmed by the 4 players.
Yeah, absolutely. Xiphias starting out here extremely strong, and you do see that they have now a Stamper Nouveau and an S-Class 91 to go with their comp, so they're making some changes. On the side of Serpentine, you still have that Stamper, you still got a Splash, but you do see a decap there, as now you can see that Serpentine forced to 2 down. Maybe this is their opportunity to maybe get a penalty applied, and get paint in mid, get paint in the zone. So they do get it despite going 2 down. I'm not sure how far up they're going to be able to push there, as they are still kind of recovering from that retake. But as you can see here, Xiphias still being very patient on defense. They do see 2 go down. 3 go down, actually. Is a really good kill by the Stamper there on the far left, as they're trying to corner out this last player to the S-Blast, and they do get him. So that is a delayed wipe for Serpentine. Maybe this is where you can see them start to regain some momentum. You can see Boo Boo here trying to get some attention drawn to them on that far elbow. Oh, they zip there, but are taken out by the Crab, and now that Crab has free reign to fire on zone, pit paint there. It might not quite be enough, although 3 do go down on Serpentine, and will actually be enough, as Xiphias able to get a patient retake, and despite points going off the board, they do defend their lead successfully.
Indeed, it is now back in Xiphias' control. And yeah, no, they're quickly building up another Tacticooler, just trying to continue to hold this ground, just using being very smart about how they're utilizing these walls for cover, and just making sure that they aren't in anywhere too exposed. Gonna get sniped down anyways, just enough pressure coming in from the Stamper. Really well, solid use. And we've got the Crab actually doing a lot better there. Smart plays, recognizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't stand beside the thing that will immediately detonate bombs. Zipcaster not getting the splat though. Just unfortunately caught out by the opposing Stamper with the Crab, and it is just turning into a nice little ink bath here, as everybody's just taking each other out. Serpentine clinging onto this and will be able to secure the point lead. Quickly chipping through the rest of the points. They might be able to get their first win. They got a good... That is an excellent big bubbler from Manga. Very solid. That is stalling things out. I think that's going to be just enough of what they know. There's the Booyah to try to stop them here. And they get wiped out.
Excellent retake by Xiphias there. They did lose lead. They did take it down the wire a bit there, but they remained patient. They did jump the gun just because they saw that timer ticking down, and they were able to force a wonderful wipe out there. As Serpentine, look, don't look now, but they're forced 2 down. Really good crowd there by Jared, who's going to try and get set up on this right zone area here. They have people on zone. As Jared's going to try and take a fight there, but hard taken out by the S-Blast. That's delayed 3 down, and Xiphias is going to hold this zone. Their penalty is done. This is their chance to maybe take back lead. Serpentine continues to stagger a bit here as they kill the jump in as well, and now no one is really set for Serpentine. You see some pencil action on the far right, but that's not going to be enough as 2 are still down. Xiphias is almost certainly going to get lead here, and I think that unless Serpentine just has a miraculous charge in zone, they're going to outright KO here. And that's what's going to happen is Xiphias has a masterful stagger applied on Serpentine, and they just don't have enough time to get anything going, and they will take this set 3-0.
That was an incredible push from Serpentine. Jared with a really good opening from that crab, and they managed to hold on to it for quite a while, but unfortunately just Xiphias got that control back, and then like you just said, the stagger started to happen. Serpentine couldn't really coordinate themselves, weren't in a position where they could have tried to paint and build up special, or they couldn't find an opportunity to be able to set that up. They might have been too desperate to just try to push back in and reclaim. And you know what happens when you're just rushing into the center field and trying to reclaim is you get splatted, you get destroyed, you get decimated, and that's another 5 seconds or so where you're waiting to respawn, and the rest of your team is now trying to play without you. That jump was a really risky thing too. It is so important to be aware of what's going on with your teammates when you decide to make jumps. You've got to pay attention to the map. You've got to stay in touch with them and listen to what they're saying. Because if they're saying, like, I'm dealing with lots of fire, or you notice that there's just a lot of paint happening around them, you do not jump around them unless you know they're going to get the win, which that's a dice roll in a lot of situations.
And I think in a similar sense, I think the reason why Xiphias is able to come back and recap zone and eventually take it to a KO there was because they didn't do that. They were really patient. I think that they let Serpentine get lead there. They waited until the absolute right moment for them to drop down, get kills, put themselves in advantageous positions with paint, with teammates around them, and force a wipeout. I just think that Serpentine couldn't really do that same thing when it was their turn to retake. I think they rushed it a bit. They dropped down to mid, I think, a little bit earlier than they needed to. I think they didn't give up on the push when I think it was clearly dead. So really good job by Xiphias for having the patience to know when to retake. And I think ultimately that's that skill, both in this game and the games before, is what gave him the win here.
Indeed. And yeah, that is going to be Xiphias walking away 3 wins to Serpentine's unfortunate null. But that's not the end for Serpentine. We are just doing Swiss. So there's still a lot of opportunities for them to be able to fight on. They're likely going to be seated with players closer to their skill level, or the other players that might have just went 3-0 in this situation. So they've still got a few chances before they're going to... I mean, even in that case, there's a silver bracket, right? They'll have something to be able to do. Xiphias is going to stand strong here, but we're going to take a short break as we gear up for our next match. We'll be right back.